We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
DC Criminal Code overhaul blocked, COVID origins investigated, job openings falling, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The Senate voted 81-14 on Wednesday to block the Washington, D.C. City Council's dramatic overhaul of its criminal code that Republicans and Democrats complained would ease criminal penalties in a city that is already suffering from rising crime rates. In the final vote, only 14 Democrats voted against the resolution aimed at reversing the D.C. law, which was originally the product of the House's new Republican majority. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, and most other Democrats voted to kill the D.C. crime law. Once the resolution is signed by the president, as is expected, it will mark the first time Congress has acted to roll back D.C.'s own self-imposed regulations in more than 30 years, a power Congress has under the Constitution. Last month, after Biden indicated he opposed the resolution that would gut the D.C. law, just 31 House Democrats joined the Republican majority to pass it. Reports suggest that many Democrats who voted against it felt like Biden left them high and dry when he reversed course and said he would not veto it if it came to his desk. President Biden will release an annual budget proposal, White House officials say, would save hundreds of billions of dollars by lowering drug prices and cutting unnecessary spending, while hiking some taxes on business. Administration officials said the plan would reduce federal budget deficits by nearly $3 trillion over a decade, but the spending blueprint has no chance of driving tax or spending decisions in Congress this year, according to the New York Times, because it clashes with priorities of Republicans who now control the House. Republicans are expected to unveil their budget this spring. Russia conducted its first major wave of missile attacks in Ukraine in 3 weeks early Thursday, killing at least 6 civilians. The strikes cut power in some areas and knocked a nuclear power plant off the electric grid. Ukrainian President Zelensky said the massive rocket attack hit critical infrastructure and residential buildings in 10 regions. Zelensky said the strikes occurred while people slept. The occupiers can only terrorize civilians, he said in an online statement. Russia has been targeting Ukraine's power grid since October. The attacks became less frequent recently. U.S. intelligence agency believe Moscow is running low on ammunition and suffering heavy casualties, leaving it unlikely to seize more territory this year. The House of Representatives held their first hearing on the origins of the coronavirus, focusing on the theory that the pandemic started with a leak from a Chinese lab, as stated by the FBI and Department of Energy. Dr. Robert R. Redfield, who served as the director of the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention under then-President Donald Trump, said the first COVID-19 outbreak more likely was a result of an accidental lab leak than the result of natural spillover event. He testified that it is not scientifically plausible that the virus somehow originated in animals or bats and then spread to humans. Fauci knew this because Redfield and 4 other knowledgeable experts told him so. But Fauci, an immunologist, not a virologist, feared that his suspected complicity in engineering the virus would be revealed. He was determined to suppress the lab leak evidence and instead peddle the natural origin theory to the public. He wanted a single narrative, said Redfield. That inaccurate narrative appears to be an effort to absolve himself in the deadliest man-made catastrophe in history. General Motors will offer voluntary buyouts to a majority of its 58,000 U.S. white-collar employees as it aims to cut $2 billion in structural costs over the next 2 years, according to a letter sent to workers Thursday from CEO Mary Barra. The Voluntary Separation Program, or VSP, will be offered to all U.S. salaried employees who have spent 5 or more years at the company as of June 30th. Outside of the U.S., the automaker will offer buyouts to executives with at least 2 years of time at the company. The number of job openings in the United States fell to 10.8 million in January, down 410,000 from December, but still exceeding the number of eligible workers by far, according to data released by the Labor Department. There are now 1.9 job openings for every person available to fill them, according to the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. Federal officials carefully monitor that report as they make decisions on monetary policy like raising interest rates. The extremely tight labor market is one of the indicators showing that the economy remains stronger than expected despite high inflation and rising interest rates. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. And see you next time.